Now, the Senate recently passed its version updating timelines, penalties, and voting technology while rejecting mandatory real-time transmission of polling results, a move criticized by civil society groups for transparency concerns. Key changes include shorter deadlines for candidate submissions, increased fines for illegal possession of voters' cards, and upgraded accreditation systems for voters. The House of Representatives is also reviewing amendments to strengthen the Independent National Electoral Commission's powers, while the bill awaits harmonization before being sent to President Bola Tinubu for assent. Observers say timely passage and full implementation of the bill are critical to ensuring credible elections and maintaining public trust in Nigeria's democratic transition.
Well, for more, we're joined live on Daybreak Studio on Arise News by Alhaji Yusuf Dantalle, who is the National Chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Thank you for joining us, Yusuf Dantalle, on this episode of Daybreak.
You're welcome.
Yeah, quite timely that we're having you as a representative of the party, being the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Looking at the past electoral bill, amended 2022 version, now 2026 version, there have been some reactions, especially what one could consider the epicenter of concern, the Section 60, subsection 3, that states that that rejects the real-time transmission. Instead, after the Form EC8A had been signed and stamped by the presiding officer and now signed by the party agents, that can now be transmitted to the IREV. Is this a setback or a set forward? Talking in terms of Nigeria's race towards its political future, coming from the party perspective.
Good morning once again. I want to thank the members of the National Assembly for what they have done for our democracy and what they are here to do. And to also call their attention to the fact that laws are not supposed to be made for a particular election or event, but it has to be something classical, something that will last a longer period, and something that will I will say, clean up some of the mess in the system. We in the Inter-Party Advisory Council, we try to make certain propositions, and this mandatory transmission and the collation of results is also one of the things that we recommended, we suggested, and the appointment of INEC chairman and the commissioners and conduct of election, all the elections at one time.
Just to get yes, clarity and to be quite specific, we're talking about the Section 60, subsection 3, that talked about the real-time transmission of results. Is it something you welcome or something that you find quite discomforting?
You see, what we want is see that we have all the votes. Our proposal is to eliminate any human interference, any human coalition, to see that as we vote, the votes are electronically and automatically transmitted and collated at the same time. This has been the position of the Inter-Party Advisory Council.
Well, okay, you're not going to have that because the bill has been passed now and there is no electronic transfer of votes. Let's stay with that Electoral Act. There are several other contentious aspects. For instance, punishment for vote buying. By dumping the proposed 10-year ban on vote buying by politicians, isn't the Senate effectively signaling that electoral corruption will carry little real consequences? And how does this strengthen democracy in Nigeria?
Thank you. For me and for us, when you want to solve a problem, always look at the foundation of the problem. But most of the people that you see buying vote at the polling units, some of them too are victims of the problems because they are not the ones seeking election. But if we are going to punish those who are buying vote, we should also extend it to the sponsors, the pioneers of this that program. And then we will also, until we begin to look at sources of problem, not looking at the symptoms of the problem, we will not get it right. We will have to look at foundations, the enumeration of political office holding in Nigeria. Because why do people buy vote in the first place? So if you look at why they buy vote, you now see that, okay, it is related to the lucrativity or otherwise of public office being held in Nigeria. So we must address that. Yes, it is a good omen to punish vote buyers at the instant, but then remotely we have to look at the source, the foundation of vote buying. It is not enough to stop at punishing those who are buying vote at the polling unit.
Okay, so well,
all right. Now, let's look at other aspects of this, because there's a lot of gray areas, and I'd love for you to give us your take on them. The first gray area being that this is going to harmonization. I've just read some preliminary statements from some of the civil society organizations that are saying that, well, they need this harmonization to be completed within the next 1 week so that we can still meet with the original INEC timeline, with the original schedule. However, the first question, this harmonization, do you think that in any way, there's any way that the harmonization will reflect more of what we saw from the House of Reps than what came out of the Senate yesterday? And secondly, what is the impact on the timetable that you think all these deliberations will have? Are we still going to be within the right range to continue with the 2022 Electoral Act for 2027 election? Or do you think that we're going to meet a deadline that these new changes will be effected for the 2027 presidential election?
At the Inter-Party Advisory Council, for all the political parties are our members, what we do is to advise. We made our positions clear, and we have always re-emphasized our positions. And for those who are in power today or who are on the seat today, we should look at not just how these things will benefit us immediately, but how it will affect the entire process. Afterwards, we cannot continue. Yes, there's no perfect election, but for us to have free, fair, and credible election, we must look at the foundations of some of these problems. For us, or for me, I don't really see this as affecting or giving us the required result. It is a good one. Yes, it will solve some immediate problem, but it will not, I don't see it solving the remote causes of the problems of our electoral malpractice or some of the anomalies we experience. We have to look at the foundations.
If I may interject, Haji,
yeah.
If I may interject, my question is, do you think these new rules will apply to the 2027 presidential election?
It depends on if we are able to have both the houses, the entire Senate do what they are supposed to do before INEC timetable is rolled. We are going to have our first consultative meeting for 2026 with INEC this morning in few hours, and that will determine, from there we'll be able to know what INEC is set to do, when INEC is going to bring out the timetable, and what the Senate will do to that effect. So it will be difficult for me to say at this point if what needs to be done will be done before INEC will release the timetable.
Now, to piggyback and expand on some of the sentiments that were expressed here today, do you think Nigeria is adopting a technology that we're not yet ready to manage?
You see, that's still, it depends on what INEC, because we have meetings with INEC every 3 months. And since the assumption of Professor Joash Amupito in October, we're not able to have the meeting in December, in the last quarter of 2025. So we're having it in 26 now. So whatever INEC is going to roll out, we'll interact with INEC, and that from there we'll now know what INEC have on the table. If it is in order for what we want to do. Yes, we have election coming up in February in FCT this month. We have election in Osun and Ekiti. So the discussions or the interaction we have with INEC today will determine to a greater extent what we'll be able to tell the public. But for now, I don't think we'll have enough information to give the public on what INEC will do relating to 2027 election.
Okay, now when we look at the expectations of Nigerians from this electoral act, one would say that it's based on a tripod of to curb electoral fraud, to strengthen INEC capacity, and to encourage voter participation. When you look at clause 29, that has reduced the number of the timeline from 180 days to 90 days for parties to submit candidate list, do you think this is feasible given this context?
You see, this thing, I think at political party level with INEC, we appeal to INEC to see that this thing was extended to 180 days to allow for a lot of things to be done. So we don't know when we have this discussion with INEC today, we'll also look at it at party level to see, because I don't want to speak on what I am not authorized to say on behalf of the parties.
But do you think it poses efficiency and eligibility risk?
I see for every thing that is done has its advantages and disadvantages. For some, the argument for reducing this is that because it is the 180 days is a problem, especially when it comes to election expenses, that candidates spend more. Okay, seeking election because of the time, because of the duration, the wideness, the duration. But if it is reduced, it will reduce the expenditure on the part of the politician. I think this is one of the major arguments that political actors advance for the reduction in this day from 180 days to 90 days. But today we'll all look at it. The 19 political parties are going to meet with INEC to review this position.
All right, we'll be looking forward to the outcome of that meeting with INEC, because it's very important.
It's very important.
But let's step to another story. We had reports of massacre in Kwara State this morning. Armed jihadists moved into Kwara communities, killing everyone at will, and after that escaped. This risks becoming another forgotten tragedy as we have innumerable attacks across the country. Give me your take on what's going on security-wise in Nigeria today.
This is a very seriously condemnable act, but we should see that we have a problem, that Nigeria is fighting an invisible enemy. And while the law enforcement agents are doing and the security agencies are doing what they are doing, I believe they should do more when it comes to intelligence gathering and harmonization of intelligence for all the security agencies, see what they can do. But then, one thing I have always talked about as a student of sociology is some of these things these conventional crimes, they are only indicating that a lot of things are wrong with the socio-economic and political arrangement. The people killing, I don't think they know why they are killing. And the people being killed don't know why they are being killed. So I think we must look at continue to look at that there is problem in the economic and the social life of Nigerians.
But this particular one, they were saying that they have been in that community trying to convince them to denounce the Nigerian state and revert to Sharia law or take up Sharia law. So it has religious undertone. They
will find a way to say one thing or to give excuse for what they are doing, but it's all nonsense. Why should anybody come and say, any Muslim, there is no law in Islam that say you must compel anybody to be a Christian or not to be a Christian. So I think this is just very stupid reasons for those who are killing just to do what they want to do. But they are all senseless killings. This has nothing to do with religion.
Alhaji. Alhaji.
Yes.
Just to tie this back in with issues around electoral reform and the road to the election, I know that you were present at the launch of Yaga Africa's voter intention report, and one of the key issues was security. They were saying that there is appetite for people, especially if you're looking at the northern region, that there's interest in voting, but what will stop people from voting in 2027 is security. What's your take on this, especially when incidents like this continue to happen? I mean, this is a bloodbath, an entire community thrown into mourning, and we're saying that we're preparing for an election. What will the voter turnout be when people are being intimidated by non-state actors and the state no longer has a monopoly on violence?
My own approach is always a bit different from the conventional approach to some of these issues. Yes, while I condemn this and I urge the security agencies to do what they are supposed to do, as Nigerians, we must look at the foundations of the problem. We must look at the socio-economic and political relationship between the leadership and the led. We must look at democracy at the local level. We have all said this. Today, in reality, there's no government at the local level. We have always said this. The conduct, today we talk about democracy only at the state and national level. But local government level in Nigeria is not functioning. The reason is simple. The activities of State Independent Electoral Commission is nothing compared to conduct of election. The sitting governors, with due respect, they just handpick whoever they want to pick in most states and then impose them on the people as the chairman. People do not conduct. So until people are allowed to elect who they want at the local government, which is the closest government or the closest tier to the people. Look at what, and now today INEC is conducting election at FCT, and political parties are campaigning because no party takes it all in election. So we have always said INEC, State Independent Electoral Commission, be scrapped and INEC take over the conduct of election so that people can feel governance at local level. As long as we don't look at that, we'll continue to have some of these problems because the local government chairman, their hands are tied. They can do nothing. Some of them, they are just, maybe when the governor is visiting a place, they just go there, attend ceremonies with the governors, but government is totally absent in most part of this country.
But Alhaji, realistically speaking, can parties continue to seek for votes if citizens do not feel safe?
You see, we cannot continue to look at, if we must do this, we have to be holistic about the problems. The people, let me go back to Robert Martin's theory of anomy. Yes, people react to social situations in 5 ways. So people conform, people innovate, people retreat, people embark on ritualism, and others rebel against the system. So this group, because of our current or prevailing economic and social and political relationship in Nigeria, the average Nigerians today, okay, there are no schools. Public schools are almost dead across the country. The people live, with due respect, we have to begin to, you see, until we begin to say what is true, we won't have it right.
Yes.
The schools are virtually not existent.
Absolutely. I wish we had more time to delve deeper into this conversation because you're making a lot of salient points and there's a lot of areas that need to be addressed, whether it be from the electoral side or it be from the governance side. But we thank you for your time today. And that's all we have time for here on Daybreak today. From Lagos Studio, I'm Bimbai Mutiniri Ekpeyong.
Okay, thank you for joining us, and it's been so exciting, very exciting engagement. And Benga Ashu, goodbye from me.
And I'm Constance Ikoku. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
And I'm Yolanda Robert. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is next. Goodbye.